Okay, and I'm hoping this records here, so we won't get started to get you guys out of here so you can be safe. The main thing tomorrow's quiz. I just want to say that give you the timeline as people asking. Let's look at Washington's first two terms here, and today I'm going to talk about his first term. All right, that will be the main thing that I will be talking about in today's APUSH 1.5. But I really wanted to use this time for you guys. We picked on Washington. We've kind of like mocked him in a way. Maybe not you guys, but I have. But let me get you a go project to 1792. All right. And you guys know you don't have to really so much take this down. Just I want you to imagine this picture here. All right, they're in a cabinet meeting. All right, so Hamilton and Jefferson are going at it. All right, yelling, screaming at each other. You know, really, kind of like arguing. To a point that is driving people, the whole cabinet members in there, from a Henry Knox in there to sometimes John Adams, who's not supposed to be there, but sometimes there, Edmund Randolph and George Washington. Washington storms out. He says, I've had enough of this. All right, this and everything. Like, I'm out of here. And matter of fact, Mr. Hamilton, I say, Mr. Jefferson, can I see you in the hallway? Almost, like school kids like that, He says, are you guys, tired yet? Are you guys just tired of just bickering and arguing over like for the good of the nation? And it says, no, because I think I'm right. And Hamilton says, I think I'm right. Well, he says, I'm tired. I'm out of here. I'm not going to run for another term. Both of them, without like looking at each other, without batting an eye, really put their hand on his shoulder. Says, no, sir, you cannot do that. You cannot. All right. There's one thing that we can agree on. This nation needs you. All right. So we cannot lead a nation. All right. And they both in tune kind of say that kind of together. They might not be using the same pronoun, but that should give you a picture right there. All right. Another one, 1790, and he just got into office because he's inaugurated in 1789. He has pneumonia, but like he's going to die. John Adams says, I don't know what's going to happen. And again, we do not know about presidential succession. Abigail says, this country will collapse without Mr. Washington. Now, I'm going to ask you guys in here, and again, I'm not in here to say, oh, I'm going to go home and put a picture of Washington in my room. Oh, he's the greatest president around. I'm not saying that. We can always maybe you don't like him or think he's the best president ever, but respect what he did. So I'm going to ask you in here, and this right now, and probably people at home or whatever, just think about it right now. Why Washington? Why him, the first president? Give me some reasons here why Washington was, twice unanimously elected by electoral college. Let's go through the multitude of reasons why. Why not Jefferson? Why not Madison? Why not Hamilton? Why not, anybody else but him and everything? So go. Face of the revolution. He's the face of the revolution. Anything else here? Go ahead.
He wasn't affiliated with any specific party.
He was not affiliated with any party. He never even, even said during the constitutional kind of debate, like, never labeled himself an anti-federalist or a federalist, right? Never was part of a party. Even though maybe in his two terms, what can be implied? What did he act like? A federalist. There you go. That's what I thought. Very good. Something else. Anything else like specifically? Say, go ahead, Kim. Two wars. All right. He is a military hero, as you guys are going to see in the future, from Grant to Eisenhower. That you're going to see to William Henry Harrison. It doesn't last too long, like that. To Andrew Jackson. Military heroes. He's brave. I'm telling you, he's the guy that's in front of people that's like say, hey, fire. And he's in the middle of it. He's there with Edward Braddock. A horse gets shot down. Now me, I would have ran. I would have hid behind a tree. They're firing at me. That's me. All right. I'm not brave like Washington, or maybe some might say foolish. You know like that. But I guess he knew about his special powers. Oh, I'm not gonna get killed. Like that. So, uh, and he does that, and he is a war hero. He is definitely a warrior. 2 wars like that. So these are the things here. And I'm going to add a couple of things here. All right. See if you guys can help me explain why would I say this. These are assets too. He's socially intelligent. What do you think that means? He's socially intelligent. All right. So go ahead. He can he can understand people and others. What else does that mean? Like that. Go ahead, Tom. They don't get too much information out of him. What else, Cam? Yes. Okay. I give this analogy. All right. Some kid is playing with a toy, and you have Washington, Jefferson, and Hamilton like come by and do some observations. Jefferson's going to observe, not say anything, and go home and write bad about the kid. And saying that kid is playing with toys, probably not going to grow up, like again, to amount to anything if he's just toddling with toys. And let me write these letters, but I will not say it to the kid. Hamilton will say to the kid, like again, that's kind of pathetic. I mean, like if you want to end up like with a brainless kind of like occupation, you'll keep dawdling with toys. What would Washington say? Washington would say, "You seem like you're having fun." I remember those days as well if I can think of them. But you seem like I love to see that smile on your face. That's all you really need to know about being socially intelligent. All right. And that's the kind of thing that, like, again, that was an asset. Also, too, doesn't have a kid. Maybe. He was down, like, in Barbados, 1751. Hamilton. Conspiracy. St. Croix, nearby. How do they get along? Like father and son. They even spat. Conspiracy. He was down there with his brother. Conspiracy. Just want to put that out there. Was Hamilton Washington's son, and why they had that kind of like relationship with each other? Oh. He was down there. And by the way, do you know they don't know exactly when Hamilton was born? 1757, but they have a question mark. You notice that? Just saying. Like I don't know, it's not true. Like it's just yeah, right. Shh. I'm sorry. Yes, a monarchist. This is something that is good to know. Probably in the next, like I guess 20 years, like again, everything for election, or even 30 years. What is the criticism? They don't say tyrant or dictator. He's a monarchist. Andrew Jackson, you saw the cartoon. He's a king. Once again, he's a monarch. And that is really like, the words that's very insulting to a politician or like what's going to do. Oh, you're a monarchist. Oh, he's a king. Why is Washington even, Jefferson's already apprehensive about how he's behaving like that. What kind of titles are they going to bestow him? Why is he in a chariot? Why is he going from here to New York, like parading around? Monarchist. You get it? And that was big for back then. All right, not saying dictator or so much a tyrant that he's a king. And so they worried about like, pass on to his kid, but he don't have to worry about that since Hamilton kind of, what happens here. Just again, silly kind of conspiracy stuff there, but kind of fun there. All right, so 1789, State of the Union. Go ahead. What does he have to deal with? What is the thing is that he has to work on? All right. Two big things. I do want you again to remember. All right. How to solve the nation's financial crisis. All right. One, how to solve the nation's financial crisis. On about a total of like all debts to like $60 million kind of in total in today's dollar. Matter of fact, who do we owe? Do we owe just foreign countries? And this is going to be part of foreshadowing into Hamilton. Who else do we owe the military to a certain point? Who else? Why? Right? And securities and bonds. Bonds are just IOU. If I buy a government bond, government's supposed to say, hey, I owe you, Amy, like, a certain amount of money. And it's usually not what she bought it for. She said, hey, right now I'm going to support the revolution. I'm buying a bond for $5. I should get $6 back, at least. It's a government. So you owe people like that. And really the nation, the economy is kind of broke like that. The second thing, how do I bind this nation together? How do I get it to owe allegiance to the Constitution of the federal government? Everybody says they're a Virginian or they're a New Yorker. Nobody says they're like, I'm an American. I'm part of like the United States. There's really no like nationalism that you even see today like that, no, like, I'm a Yankee or something like that and everything. They would actually start saying that like, no, I'm not some like, I don't come down there, those countries down there. These United States. They never say the United States. These United States. All right. So he asked Robert Morris, you don't need to know him, to be his secretary treasurer. He said, let me ask this guy from New York, Alexander Hamilton, who's recommended, who's already created the Bank of New York. He says, don't worry, Mr. Washington, I have a plan, and I knew you'd be coming to me. All right, so the whole scheme of things. And we have a great acronym, all right, for this to kind of remember, but it's kind of to parse out. BEFAT, be fat, without the PH. You want to be fat, Mr. Washington, all right? And we're going to go through what all those mean, about, like you can figure out 2 or 3 of them as right now, all right? Now, before he's even in there to get the revenue, I said there's 2 ways to get revenue for the federal government. Land and what else? Tariffs, and that's the T. 1789, 5% tariff. Now, later on in his BFAT plan and his report on manufacturing, he wants to be 8%. But right now, they will pass a 5% tariff on imported goods. And that's how the federal government raises, income. But Washington really has to, you can't just go up there how we're used to smuggling and doing things on the black market. What do you have to do to collect those tariffs? What do we call that and everything? Does anybody know they do fancy words to pick those up, officials? What? What? Yeah, no, customs duties. No, again, this can be very important that he sets up the custom duties in there, so like that, to collect this income. All right, but that's one. So that's part of the T in there. Now, we'll go through some of these other things here, kind of more like say he has 2 reports on public credit. All right, 2 reports, 1790. All right, 2 reports on public credit, and this is going to be his recommendations for his plan here. All right, one of the first things he says here that we should, it's the F, and this is a confusing one. This is the most confusing. We should fund at par those bonds that we sold to people. Fund at par, funding at par. I'm going to explain what that is. All right. What it is, remember Amy bought those bonds. All right. And she says, now I think these are pretty worthless. Here comes Akash, and he's loaded. He has money like that and everything. He says, hey, kind of heard through the grapevine, the government is going to actually, pay up the interest on those bonds. I'm not going to tell Amy. So I'm just going to offer money. Hey, I'll give you face value for the loan. Yeah, go ahead. You get it? So Hamilton says we should pay for those things. Why is that? What does it do when we actually pay our debts? It builds credit. He says that debt is a blessing. All right. And I know your parents and everybody else and everything saying the government keeps paying money and like that. They're $1 trillion in debt. It's a little bit different, but you should ask your parents this, like, well, maybe you should pay your debts. Yeah, exactly. Why am I saying that though? Am I trying to get you killed? What is my point? What is my point about capitalism and that Hamilton knew already? Yes. Is that good for our economy to buy? Yes, it is. That's the way it kind of works. I know it seems to work against us, but most of us don't want to live in the Western world under capitalism like the Amish. Because you could live like that. There's nothing wrong, like again, you choose to. But most of us just had that natural like thing of self-interest. And Hamilton knew that about human behavior, that you want to improve your life, you want to do things, but you may have to go in debt. So, to build up our credit, all right, and also it's okay to have debt. So, we'll fund at par. That's going to be confusing. You should have probably even questions tomorrow about that in a way if you don't have it now. But you understand that he's going to pay for those bonds, those U.S. government bonds, at the interest value that was promised before. And what Madison says, why don't you pay Amy? She's the original bondholder. It's like, I can't find people like that. We can't try. We don't have YouTube and the internet and wireless yet, Mr. Madison. All right. So we don't have the communication satellites. Oh, I don't know what those are, but I guess I'll trust you like that, on that one. So we don't. So we're going to do it this way. All right. So funding that part. The next thing, and this is going to be big too, is the A. All right. Assumption of debts. We're going to take these state debts, and where are most of those states that are in debt? Where are they located? No, they've kind of paid off pretty good. It is Massachusetts, all right? It is a Connecticut. It is a Pennsylvania who owe money. Where most of the battles were, like things like that and everything. And, they owe some money that's here. Why would you do that besides, like, again, building up the credit here and everything? What else is going to do when, go ahead. Yeah, yeah. And it's going to unify what? Yeah, the states. Because I don't know if you know this. When you owe people money, you kind of act different around them. You're kind of like, yeah, I'll give you a ride. Yeah, don't worry about that. Oh, yeah, don't worry. I'm coming over, Uncle. Yeah, don't worry. You'll like to get everything, when you owe them money. You notice that? Oh, because I owe them some money. Or they gave me some money. When you owe people money, you behave a little bit differently. A little bit, kind of, if I can say, a little phony, but you will say that you kind of owe allegiance. So it unifies the country, builds up the credit in here. Go ahead. Yeah, okay, he's going to say he's before he's finished, he's already on the second report of public credit that he says that like, hang on a second, Southern guys. Like again, you're so important to our nation. All right. Once again, because he thinks the future is industrial revolution. He's seen Great Britain. Here's what John Adams says. He says Great Britain, if it wasn't so like corrupt in its government, had more equal representation in the House of Commons, would be a brilliant nation. And Hamilton responds, and Jefferson wrote this down, like again in there, and kind of like it says, um, the corruptibility of Great Britain and the kind of representation has no effect on its perfect governmental system. It is the best governmental system that's ever existed. All right, despite what so-called defects or kind of like imperfections it has. It's the best. He wants to be United States 2.0. He wants to be manufacturing industrial revolution in America. He sees that. What does Jefferson want? What is his future? Farms, yeoman farm. And it's pretty idealistic. It's very utopian. It's very somewhat, dare I say, I'm not calling him this, communistic and a kind of Amish like that, what you do. But by the way, though, who is going to be running the country is the educated elite of the farmers. You get it? So the ones like Jefferson on here. So to answer, get back to your question, because I want to get to that, because the Southerners are really rebelling in a way like, no, you can't do this. It's, now the Southerners really are going to froth at the mouth at the B. And what is the B? What is the B of the BFAT? What does he propose? The Bank of the United States. You need a bank to hold the government funds, right? To lend the government money and to actually put this in quotation, coin money too. And they actually issue good banknotes to issue good. They're not really kind of minting coin this time. Don't have enough metals, but actually issue. All right.
You said the whole government funds in Europe?
To coin money and put that like, in quotations in there, and to loan government money and to regulate already the state banks that are around. Well, how do you regulate them? Are you going to go in like they do today and that they have established rules and pass laws? No, you will not loan to them banks that are kind of shifty. And so next thing you know, those banks go away. So you need a national bank to do this. And we'll have 20%. It's going to be privately and publicly owned. We'll have 20% of people be on the board. All right. And we'll get kind of 20% of the kind of like, stock that's into this bank. So that's what they'll do. Yes.
So, are you saying that the Southerners were upset about the assumption of debts, but they kind of forgot about it because they were more mad about the bank?
Oh, this is rare because you know where the bank's going to be located. Like first was where the second capital is in a way. So it moves from New York to where? Philadelphia. Thank you. It moves to Philadelphia. Like I said, it's going to be, and Jefferson's like, oh my God. Like again, everything. I hate banks. The best day of my life is when the banks fail. 1793 when there was a depression. All right, they call it panic back then, and they lost more money, the equivalent of burning the whole New York City down. Love it. Banks are for the elite. Am I foreshadowing somebody? It's for the elite. It's for the interests of the East. Who am I foreshadowing? Who takes these same arguments? Jackson. Exactly. Again, you get 2 for 1. And I'm going to tell you something. Jefferson is the ultimate Democrat for all the Democrats in the 19th century. They have a Jeffersonian dinner. He is the head guy until Jackson comes in. You get it? Jackson is the most famous president before Lincoln in the 19th century. I'll tell you this right. Very popular guy. You got a lot of schools named after Andrew Jackson. Right? You see Jackson like, school Jack is after Andrew Jackson. But anyway, so now the Southerners, now to get back to Layla here like that, are saying, no way. Besides, Jefferson says what? He says it's not constitutional. Why? Why is it not constitutional?
Wasn't he like a strict constitution guy? So if it was not like outlined in the Constitution already, then federal government can't do it?
Right. You can't do it. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. And of course, Hamilton says, look, you're you're confusing means with ends. I know you have an elite education, but you're kind of confusing things here. It's implied. What are we doing? We're in like, again, we're not in good financial health. So this is a means to an end. It does not say, and they have a debate in front of Mr. Washington. It doesn't say that you can't have it. All right. And if you want a sound economic policy, as our credit and economy is picking up, this is what you will do. As he looks into his eyes, okay, I will. So he decides for now. All the states are upset. The bank now they're upset about Virginia and all the the debts. For the debts, what does Hamilton propose to the southern states as a compromise? Yes.
Laying the capital down.
Yes. For the assumption of most of the state debts, we'll go to, again, Washington, D.C., in the back of George Washington's backyard in the Potomac, right there. And you're like, Mr. Price, it's a swamp. Listen, You know what the Southerners are seeing in the future? It's going to be a big city. And by the way, what can they do logistically if it's down there? With their kind of like, how can it, why is it kind of cool it's down there logistically? I know, think about like, about just moving and just like, going about 3 miles per hour in a, stagecoach and everything. What could they do by it being located down there? Well, not rebel, but what can they do for like, what can they do? They can keep an eye on it. It's security if it's going to get out of hand. Matter of fact, we'll just take it over, but we'll wait till 1861 to try to do that. All right. So that's what they're going to do. So in response to the assumption of debts, you had the kind of compromise of moving the capital. And then Hamilton moves to the bank one, and he wins that debate too. Go ahead. We'll get to the final one. No, no.
Before DC, the capital was Philly.
Yes. Yes. First it was New York, and they moved it to Philadelphia like that. So, and then they said with this, by the way, Adams is the first one who eventually gets down there in 1800, I believe. He's the first one. They're in Philadelphia up until that time. All right. By the way, just side trivia, George, Madison and Jefferson are Southerners. Washington's from Virginia too. He's getting a little bit enamored by the big city life. Big cities for back then. All right. New York and Philadelphia. I kind of liked it. And by the way, Washington loved to dance. All right, speaking of that, he did lights again. He all the time about I danced with her and I danced with that woman lights again. And women love fawning over. Washington, I told you, is the first. By the way, celebrity that's kind of admired, not the kind of, some of your celebrities are kind of like O.J. Simpson are infamous. They're known by your parents and grandparents, but kind of in an infamous way. You really, for Washington, he's kind of an admired person still. They start saying this as lame as you guys say. Hey, don't you want? What would George Washington think about this? What would George Washington do? Hey, you can grow up to be George Washington. They're used that in households across the nation. Jefferson and Hamilton are not dumb. They know they're going to be like, this nation's going to have a civil war if we kind of run like that. But you're the compromise. You're the person that people are going to rally behind. All right, they're not that stupid. All right, so they're not that picky. The last one, of course, will cause a rebellion here like that. So it's the what? Excise tax, and that's around. They put that on around 1791. I'm not worried too much about the years between 1790 and 1791. It's when the beef fat plan is put in. You don't have to have exact years for this. And that's going to cause an uprising by 1790. This is to raise money. And he says it's a tax on whiskey. And by the way, some people are already, I'm foreshadowing to the 19th century, don't mind this to be on whiskey. Why is that? Why would some people, besides monetarily, would say, hey, you know what? That's actually, why would some just people like just again, everything, middle class people say, you know what? I think it's good for our country and our society. Yes.
Well, wasn't it because like the farmers were mostly mad because they had like a direct production of whiskey?
Yeah, they are mad, but why would some people in the East say, beginning very early, like this is good for our society, our community, to have a tax on whiskey? Yeah, it's a deterrence. And what we call today syntax. If you don't know, because you guys don't buy cigarettes and alcohol, I don't either. Just saying, I don't. Right. Just make that clear. I don't. So, can't wait to go home and get some water. All right, so it didn't even sound right, did it? All right, I'm gonna have to edit that. But anyway, it's like that. I know. All right, cut that. Cut that in there. But so that they call them sin taxes on cigarettes now. So like the taxes on cigarettes, like again, it just astronomical. You go to New York, it's even higher like that. Then they call them sin that to deter you. Like again, people seem to gouge people. So that's a way of raising income. Last thing, just for a couple of last minute, he does do a report on manufacturing, and now I'm foreshadowing the American system. He says it should be an 8%, tariff. They do not go along with that. They think the federal government should spend money on what? What kind of helps the country improve and industry improve? What do you build up? Sometimes you even have projects on this to kind of in the cities or things like that. What can help make production better? Communication better as well. What's the I word to build up what? Infrastructure. Infrastructure on here. So let's build roads. Let's build some canals. They're not going to do that now, but it does foreshadow the American system. Okay, on the bit. Go ahead. Why would the North? Two things. All right, on this. The North would like this. They're getting more cash money. They're getting more like from the East. They want more of their hard money, and they don't want to compete with the whiskey sellers out in the West, and plus for society. All right, what's the big news?